Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was in the news. Do we have a picture of Trudeau? Yeah, there he looks. He looks so excited. I tell you what, if you're gonna do it, you should love what you do, right?
Right.
Um, he was sharing details about the upcoming vaccine passport rolling out in Canada. He was saying that
Hmm.
those who have, quote, done the right thing are going to be rewarded with some of their freedoms, while those that continue to resist are not going to get to enjoy the same freedoms. When asked why such a harsh stance, he said, I was inspired by my father. I mean,
You don't even need Mari Povich for that one. Come
the
on.
the people who are listening to the podcast and are not watching, they still know what we showed, though, right?
Right.
Because that's his dad. That's his dad. Um,
Totally.
Speaking of Trudeau, he managed to retain his seat as prime minister in this past week's Canadian elections, but the electorate remains as split as ever, which means he'll have to form a minority government. But Trudeau was unfazed. He said, guys, I have plenty of experience forming a minority government. In COVID news, a recent study from Franklin Templeton gauged how dangerous respondents believed the virus to be as compared to reality. And they were doing this in regards to the chance of a COVID patient needing to be hospitalized. I want you to take a look at this chart right here. So while it might be true, I tell you, a lot of right wingers were sharing this as like some kind of victory lap, right? Like,
Right.
look at these dumb liberals who all think that they're going to go to the hospital if they get the Rona. And
Right.
while it might be true that a majority of conservatives said, no, 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 it's a lower percentile. And while it might be true that Democrats were the most likely to say 50%, 41% said half and more of all COVID patients have to go to the
Mm.
hospital. It might be true, but I want you to take a closer look at those numbers, ladies and gentlemen. When you realize that the correct number is actually only about 2%, it's only about 2% of patients have to be hospitalized. And when you see how many people across ideological aisles voted for some other number, you realize that Democrats, Republicans, and independents really have one thing in common, don't they?
Oh,
They're
yeah.
all retarded.
Correct.
Just it only took a week or two, but guys, Joy Reid and Don Lemon have finally decided that the real story involving Gabby Petito is race.
Mm.
Reid said that the press coverage of Petito, while so many women of color have their stories unheard, demonstrates, quote, missing white woman syndrome. I tell you what, I'm here tonight to tell you Reid and Lemon have a point. The corporate press
Really?
certainly does have a history of concentrating its focus on one race and angle, while members of other races face the same issues.
Hmm.
So finally for this evening, the big J6 rally took place this past weekend in Washington,
Ooh.
D.C. There was a number of stirring speeches delivered by speakers that were concerned about those arrested in connection to the January 6 protests getting fair treatment. Kind of hard to say what effect that these will have, however, since every single person who attended the rally was an FBI agent. Jesus
I mean,
Christ,
the
man.
black socks, man.